displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the park's professor. First hole. The par and distance are at the top of the screen. This hole is a dogleg left, and you can see the Mando there off to the left on the inside of the dogleg. Normally I don't like Mandos, but that Mando actually protects a jogging/walking trail off to the left. And honestly, you're going to see plenty of that jogging/walking trail throughout this course. I did see several people on that trail, so you do have to watch for pedestrians before you throw on many of these holes. There's the view from behind the basket back to the tee. The second hole is the shortest hole on this course, and it's one of the tightest. You'll need a slight left to right disc flight and an accurate throw to get close to the basket in one throw. There's also this medium tree up here right in front of the basket. I do want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the parks professor. There's the view from behind the basket back to the tee. Now we break out into the open for the third hole, and about half of the holes on this course, in fact a little more than half, play through this open mowed grass prairie area that's in kind of the middle of the plot of land that contains this course. Also, the third tee is several hundred feet behind the second basket, and route finding can be an issue here and at several places on this course. So it's a good idea to take a picture of the course map near the parking area before you hit the first tee, because you're going to need it in order to find the next tee several times. This hole is really wide open, but this basket is tucked in this really tight corner among some cedar trees and among some live oaks here, so you really have to be careful what angle of attack you choose to the basket. The fourth hole is one of two new holes that they added in a redesign a couple of years ago. This hole plays across a couple of shallow ravines. Overall, this course does not have much elevation, but there is a little bit of elevation here across these two ravines. Also, this is definitely a wooded hole, but it's not quite as heavily wooded as, say, the first two holes or the last two holes on this course. I like what they did with the redesign, and I like this hole. This hole breaks up what previously was a long stretch of long and really open holes. And this hole is long. In fact, the thought occurred to me that maybe this hole should be a par 4 with all of the trees and the elevation on this hole. We just jumped over a ravine and now we're going to head up to the basket. I captured this video on Friday, February 23rd, and it was a beautiful warm sunny day with temperatures in the upper 60s when I came here. We're back out into the prairie for the fifth hole. This hole is completely open. It's slightly downhill, and honestly, it's the most boring hole so far. I should say a word about the distances I'm giving you. Most holes on this course have two tees, a back blue tee and a forward red tee. The back tee is concrete, the red tee is dirt. And those are the two distances that I'm giving you up at the top of the screen. All of these video clips start from the back blue tees, which in my view are the main tees on this course. You can see the basket coming up here. Kind of the only interesting thing on this hole is this basket is on a pole that is twice as long as a usual disc golf basket pole, which makes putting a little more interesting, but other than that, this is a really boring hole. There's the view back to the tee. The walking path makes another appearance off here to the left on the sixth hole. The sixth hole is another very open hole. It's slightly uphill. You can't see the basket from the tee, but the basket is actually behind this cluster of trees that you see coming up here on the right. That is a dense cluster of trees. There are some pines in there and some broadleaf trees in there, and you really don't want to throw into that cluster of trees. And that could easily happen if you got too greedy and tried to attack the basket directly. There is plenty of room out to the left, and so if you want to bring your disc in from the left, that's the way I would attack this hole. This is a nice hole. They did a good job of making good use of the obstacles they had to hand here. There's the view back to the tee. Again, the 7th tee is several hundred feet away from the 6th tee. It's downhill and to the left, and this is another place where that picture of the course map near the parking area really comes in handy. There's also the walking path again off here to the left. I like this course a lot, but I probably would like it a lot more if it wasn't for that walking path. The 7th hole is a fairly long and very open and quite frankly fairly boring hole. But there is a little surprise when you get up here close to the basket, and we're close enough now that you can kind of see the surprise. The basket is located on top of a rock outcrop that's about 8 feet tall. So in spite of this hole's length, you can't bounce or roll your disc all the way to the basket, and that adds to this hole's challenge. We jumped up to the top of the rock outcrop behind the basket, and there's the view back to the tee. The 8th hole plays the opposite direction. It is slightly uphill, and there's a narrow gap in the trees and there's a low ceiling about 75 feet in front of the tee. But if you can get through that gap and stay under the ceiling, then this hole really opens up. And so if you can get through this little window here, about 75 feet in front of the tee, then this hole really becomes a birdie hole. I do want to take this opportunity to thank you for watching this video. Parking full time would not be anything without the people to watch, and I realize that every day, and I thank you every day. There's the 8th basket, and there's the view back to the tee. 9th hole, and of course last hole on the front 9. This hole is a slight dogleg left. There is dense woods on the inside of the dogleg, so you do not want to try to cut the dogleg on this hole. However, there is plenty of room out to the right, so it's easy to shape in a nice right-to-left disc flight. There is also the walking path that reappears here. We've seen that several times on the front 9, and we'll see it several more times on the back 9. The basket is right down here by the lake, and the lake adds to the scenery on this course. Also, it's close enough behind the basket that it could come into play if you overthrow going down the final hill here towards the basket. There's the 9th basket, and there's the view back to the tee. That is the end of the front 9. I will see you on the back 9. Until then, have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.